Hi all, it's me Gemma, and today I want to talk to you about Hannibal and some of the independent fan printed books that I have purchased pertaining to Hannibal. When I say Hannibal, I mean the TV series Hannibal with Hugh Dancy as Will Graham and Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter. I'm not talking about the Thomas Harris books, I'm not talking about the films. The films are very good, and I think the films are the reason why Hannibal is a famous character. I don't rate the books, I've read them, and I just don't like Thomas Harris's writing. He comes up with really good concepts, but then the execution can, not be great. So I started watching the show almost by accident. I was sort of curious because I thought Hannibal would be really hard to make a TV series out of because I had only really seen Manhunter and Silence of the Lambs. I was so wrong. The series was created and directed by Brian Fuller, adapting the material from Thomas Harris, and they didn't have the rights to Clarice Starling for this series, so they had to go with Will Graham, which I think was a great choice because Hugh Dancy plays him amazingly. And Will Graham is a profiler, he works for the FBI. At the beginning of the series, he's teaching because he doesn't really want to be out in the field. But Jack Crawford, played by Lawrence Fishburne, an amazing actor, comes and says, look, we really need your help. We're having a lot of trouble with this case. Can you consult on it? And that is how Will comes into being a profiler again, and also how he meets Hannibal, because Jack Crawford and another psychiatrist decide that he needs support to work on these cases because he's not entirely mentally stable. So unfortunately, or fortunately for Will, depending on how you look at it, the psychiatrist that is recommended to them is Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Now, Mads Mikkelsen, I had seen him before, like in things, like I'd seen him in Casino Royale, but oh my gosh, as Hannibal, he is amazing. His performance is just, And the thing is like, in real life, Mads Mikkelsen is very much like, I wear Adidas tracksuits and smoke loads of cigarettes and watch football, drink beer, that sort of thing. And then he just turns into Hannibal Lecter, who is like, the epitome of sophistication in tailored suits and all this kind of stuff. Absolutely amazing performance. Highly recommend it. If you are not good with horror or disturbing content, you might want to look up some trigger warnings for Hannibal. Obviously, there's the cannibalism, that's number one. But to give you an idea, at one point in the series, one of the killers decides to make a totem pole out of human corpses. I found it okay, and I'm very sensitive to gore because I would say, although it's disturbing, it's not gory per se. It's not like a slasher where there's oozings of blood and all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend watching it. It ran for 3 seasons, one of which had half set in Florence in Italy, which is my favourite place in the world. And it was amazing watching them walking around and going, oh my God, I've been there. And yeah. And then the other thing that I love about the show and about Brian Fuller is that he really engages with fans in such a respectful way. Like, he named one of Will's dogs after a fan tweet. He totally supports the fans saying that Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter are in love, and he put it in the series as well. At one point, Will actually comes out and says, is Hannibal in love with me? And the answer is yes, he is in love with you. And the spoiler, end up running away together at the end of the series. I was not expecting it to happen because it's never happened in a show that I watched before. Like, if you watched Teen Wolf, or if a few other ones, I won't go into a lot of detail, like Hawaii Five-O and stuff, where they sort of queer bait, oh, maybe they are, maybe they have deeper, and then it's not. Teen Wolf was the worst for that. Brian Fuller never did that. Brian Fuller was like, they are in love, the chemistry is so good that this is where we're going with it. So it's my favourite, and I love Hannibal. I love the fandom for Hannibal. The art is beautiful. The stories are rich. It's just really good, and it was the first time that I'd ever become involved in backing a zine or anything like that. If you've been in fandom, you'll probably have heard of zines. Like back in the day before we had archive of our own, bless, people had to like type out Spock Kirk stories on a typewriter and like post them to each other. You know, fandom is an amazing place. And this was the first time that I'd really become involved in, you know, backing something like that. Normally I'll read stuff online or I'll be involved in whatever, but I'm not like too into it. But with Hannibal, I couldn't resist. So the first one that I backed on Kickstarter was Raw. And this was published by Bad Influence Press. This was published a couple of years ago doing a Kickstarter, and they had various stretch goals for the print start. They had various stretch goals for the Kickstarter. Basically, you know, whether the book would be hardback or gold foil and things like that. So it's got this gorgeous cover with this heart on it, and that has symbolism within the show because in season 3, there's a whole thing with a heart and stuff. You understand it. And it also was published with these gold foil edges because they met the stretch goals. Gorgeous end papers. And I mentioned that the artists in the Hannibal fandom are amazing, and they are. I mean, check this out. Such a high quality book. The stories in it are written by some of the fandom's most sort of prominent authors. That really good stuff. It's just an amazing sort of artifact to have of something that you loved so much. And I love this book. I think it's beautiful. And it also, when you backed it, you got like a tote bag and a pin and art prints and stuff, some of which I've got up in my little sort of getting ready room. And I just love it. I use the tote bag that came with it all the time. So that is Raw. And I love Raw and I will treasure it forever. It's really funny because a lot of, like, I'm thinking of like an Anne Rice. Now, if you've been in fandom, again, you might already know the whole thing with Anne Rice, sending cease and desist letters to fan fiction writers and generally just being an arsehole. Brian Fuller was like, oh my god, you're making an anthology based off of this work that we've done. Can I have a copy? And of course everyone was like, yeah, of course you can have a copy. And as far as I know, he has backed every Kickstarter for fan-made Hannibal books. I just think that's amazing. And then we have Radiance. Now, this one doesn't have a publisher on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know down in the comments, if you know what the publisher's actual name is. But this is another Hannibal anthology. As you can see, beautiful hardcover, divine spines, you know, amazing artwork in here, amazing artwork in the book as well. I'm just trying to find one of my favourites is in here. Yeah, like, oh, I just love it. It's so lovely. And Radiance is also centred around the relationship between Will and Hannibal. Again, this came with, I think it may be Dragonfly Press. I think it is. But the quote on the back, you must understand that blood and breath are only elements undergoing change to fuel your radiance, just as the source of light is burning. And that is from the episode Kono Mono. And again, that's Hannibal saying that to Will. I love this fandom. I love this book. And then, again, I believe Brian Fuller backed that one and got a copy. And then my most recent one is Ravage. And this is published by Love Crime Books. I believe this one's still available. You can actually still get this one on Etsy if you want. That's where I bought this one. Again, stunning. Look at these end papers. Look at them. Stunning. It's just the sheer amount of love that has gone into these stories, into this art, into this whole endeavour, and I really love that so much. These are some of my prized possessions. I don't think I could probably replace them, you know, unless someone sold them to me. So I would highly recommend any of these. I know that they won't be for everyone because Hannibal as a show isn't for everyone, and even within that subset, the Hannibal Will pairing relationship isn't for everyone. So your mileage may vary. Also, I would put trigger warnings galore on all of them for like cannibalism and gore and just generally unhealthy relationships. So yeah, general unhealthy relationships as well. It's not a healthy relationship in any way, shape or form. It reminds me of a little bit of like when people talk about they want Alina and the Darkling to happen. In Hannibal, that happens. So I have one more book that's related to Hannibal. Now this one isn't fan published. This one comes from an official publisher, but it's by Janice Poon, and Janice Poon was the food designer on Hannibal. Now if you watch Hannibal at all, you will see that the food presentation and things like that is very stunning and very important as well, because quite a lot of times the dishes that turn up on Hannibal's table in the series are, you know, relevant to the story somehow, and Janice Poon just makes everything look amazing. I highly recommend this if you're interested in like gastronomy in general as well. These aren't recipes that you would necessarily, you know, make in your house. You know, I mean, how many of us are going to be making heart tartar? How many of us are going to make heart tartar tarts? Not many, probably. Or, for example, oysters Vergerfeller. Pun there. So there's plenty of things that you could have a go with, I think, just for a laugh. And I certainly know that some Fannibals have had parties and made things from it. So, but that is all about my Hannibal book collection. I really just wanted to chat about Hannibal. I'm having a total moment, and I wanted to share how much love and effort the community put into these books and just how gorgeous they are and full of good stuff. So that is it from me today. I will probably be doing a wrap up of other things that I've read as well, and then we'll be getting into the sort of best of year-end videos, so we'll see what happens with that. But it's been a pleasure as always. Please do go and watch Hannibal, and if you do, tell me what you think. Take care. Bye bye.